See here, after you just go to the calendar, from the calendar, okay, you can join in that, from that you can join. Okay, so no need for you to join using the link, because each and every one's name is added now. Okay, so this is what is called as a phospholipid. Okay, so your cell membrane, it is made up of what? Two layers of phospholipid. Okay, so with the fatty acids sandwiched together, I told you the reason. See the outer, this hydrophilic end on both the sides, that is either whether it is outside or whether it is going to be inside, only the hydrophilic end, it will be in contact with the water. Okay, this hydrophobic, it will stay away from what? The water. Okay, so now next we just saw about fluid mosaic model. Okay, so according, what is this fluid mosaic model means? See here, these proteins or phospholipids or whatever it is, it's not rigidly fixed in a place. Okay, it will move past each other, they will drift, okay, freely across the membrane. They will be like a sort of floating kind. Okay.
Excuse me, mom.
Yeah.
Mom, your audio is low.
Hello, is it fine now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Is it fine now?
Yes, ma'am.
It's okay, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So it will be freely floating. Okay. So now through this cell membrane, which all substances can get through. Okay. See, because this is what is important. This is what actually is the main purpose of having a cell membrane. Okay. It's a selectively permeable membrane. That means it will not allow any, whatever substance it comes, it will not permit. Okay. It allows only certain substances to pass through. So what all substances it can pass through is small uncharged molecules and lipid soluble substances can pass through what? The cell membrane. What all substances cannot get inside means water soluble substances and ions. Definitely it cannot pass through what? This cell membrane. Okay, so the detail, in a detailed way I have given here in this, which all it can pass through and which all it cannot. Okay, so smaller molecules, that too uncharged. Okay, molecules easily they can pass through. Okay, whereas charged ones, definitely it's not at all possible, and even larger molecules also it is very difficult. Okay, so now apart from this phospholipid bilayer, you have proteins also embedded, I told. Okay, so all these violet ones are all what? Proteins. Okay, so what are the main function of this protein? Okay, so I told you there are 6 different functions. Okay, see that is clearly given here. There are 6 different functions carried, performed or by a protein present in the cell membrane. Okay, so what are the functions? First one, transport. Okay, I told you only certain substances can pass through the cell membrane. But what about the other things? See, for example, glucose has to get inside, but just because of its glucose, sometimes it can come through also, we can keep. Okay, suppose I will, let me take some protein. Protein, it's a huge one, right? If suppose some protein, it has to get inside, or some other larger molecules, if it has to get inside means directly it cannot come through the membrane. Okay, so for all those type of substances and particularly ions though definitely it cannot pass through the membrane. So all these ions, it will get inside the cells through some type of proteins called as what? Transporters. Okay, so these transporters acts as channels. Are you able to see here? A channel type of a thing. Through this, actually, all those substances, whether larger molecules or ions, it can get inside. Okay, but here also, only when situation demands, it will allow. Okay, this protein, it will not allow every time easily the ions to get through. Whenever there is a need, at that time only, it will allow the passage of any material or any ion to get inside the cell. Okay, so first thing, transporter. Second one, structural support. Are you able to see this protein? This protein actually it provides structural support to the cell. Okay, it will be actually connected to something called as cytoskeletons. Okay, these cytoskeletons actually they are an important things in the cell which provides support to the cell. Okay, so the this particular protein it acts towards the structure support. Okay, then you have cell signaling. Okay, see, suppose if any message, if it has to be communicated to the cell, okay, so first some hormone or something whichever it is getting released, okay, that particular hormone it will just and first meet this particular protein. Okay, so this receptor, this is what is called as a protein, this receptor which receives, right? So just because of that reason, this is called as a receptor protein. So the receptor protein, it will receive the information. It may be in the form of anything. It may be in the form of a hormone, suppose. So when it receives, okay, it will decode the information and it will communicate the information to the cell for the action to be done. Understood? Cell signaling. Okay, so from any different part of the body or from any other organ or from any other cell also, if some communication, if it has to be passed to that particular cell, then some chemicals will get released and that particular chemical, it comes and gets attached to this receptor protein. So this receptor protein, it will decode the information and it will pass the information to the cell for the necessary action to be taken. Okay, so this is what is called as cell signaling. Okay, next one is intercellular joining. Okay, so for some purpose, later also we may come across some examples. Okay, so for suppose some cells, they have to combine with each other. Okay, they will join. So this protein, okay, it will facilitate the intercellular joining. Okay, next, cell to cell recognition to identify a particular cell. Okay, so here what will happen, you know, if there will be some chain of sugar molecules, okay, it will get attached to the protein. See, already I think I have mentioned it in the last class, two terminologies, glycoprotein and glycolipid. Anyone, can you tell, can you just answer what is a glycoprotein? Do you remember?
The carbohydrate
Carbohydrate attached to the protein.
connect.
Yes, the carbohydrate chain, if it is connected to, attached to the protein means, then that is called as what? Glycoprotein. If it is attached to the phospholipid, okay, then that is called as what? Glycolipids. Okay, so this so this one, it acts as a tag, okay, just to inform other cells that, okay, I'm the particular one. Okay, so it is used in what? Cell recognition. Then another most important function is what? Enzymatic activity. Okay, so many metabolic activity have to be taken care. It will take inside the cell. Okay, so all those things, it will be taken care by the enzymes. Okay, or else the proteins. Okay, so the protein will have a substrate where the enzymes will be there, and it will carry out so many different types of what? Metabolic activities. Okay, so these are the functions performed by the proteins present in the cell membrane. Understood? So proteins also play a very important role. Okay, so this phospholipid bilayer, it acts as a permeable membrane. Okay, it will decide which substances it can pass through and which will not pass through. So now whatever we have seen are the functions of what? Proteins present in the cell membrane. Okay. See, now even in this proteins also, there are two types. Okay. See, one is called as a peripheral protein, whereas the another one is called as an integral protein. Okay. See, integral proteins means it will either fully or just partially, okay, it will penetrate the membrane. Okay. Whereas the peripheral proteins, no, it will be just, see, these red ones, no, these are the peripheral proteins. They are temporary proteins. Okay, so whenever it is needed, it will come, it will perform its function, and it can relocate also. Okay, but but this integral proteins are not there like that. Okay, they are embedded completely inside the membrane. Understood? See, peripheral means they will be just on the surface of the membrane. Okay, whereas the integral proteins, it will embed, okay, either partially, here see, you just see the partial embedment, okay, Here it is completely embedded inside the plasma membrane. Okay, so now this particular table, okay, this will give you the structure and the function of all whatever we have seen till now. Okay, so phospholipid bilayer. So what is this phospholipid bilayer? It consists of what? Two layers of phospholipid. The phospholipid has a polar hydrophilic head, okay, and it will be having what? A non-polar hydrophobic tail. Okay, so structurally how this phospholipid it will be there, that is explained here. So now what is the function? It is a semi-permeable structure that does not allow material to pass through the membrane freely, okay, thus protecting the intra and extracellular environment of the cell. Okay, so just this is like summarizing whatever I have told you now. Okay, so now what next about what you have membrane proteins. So what are these membrane proteins? What actually, how structurally means what? That is what, whether it can be either a peripheral protein or it can be what, an integral protein. Okay, so these are proteins found spanning the membrane from the inside of the cell, okay, to the outside of the cell. The membrane proteins have hydrophilic and hydrophobic region that allow them to fit into the cell membrane. See here, proteins also have a hydrophobic end and hydrophilic end. See, depending upon how it has to attach to the cell membrane, that is your phospholipid bilayer, that too will have its what? Hydrophobic and hydrophilic. Okay, see that and all, it's not that important. You just know that there will be proteins. Some proteins it will be just there on the surface. See, and one more thing, you know, it will be there on both the sides. Okay, see now this is what is your plasma membrane. So this is the interior of the cell. This is what? Exterior of the cell. Okay, so interior also you may have proteins just on its surface. Exterior also you may have proteins on its surface. Okay, whereas these integral proteins, it will be at least partially or completely embedded. Okay, even embed here it is towards the outside. Okay, but even you can have a protein towards the inside part also partially embedded. Okay, so what are these functions? Functions I have shown you. Okay, so many functions, 6 functions are there. Okay, but here they have given only what? Carrier protein function only they have given. Okay, acts as a carrier protein which control the movement of specific ions and molecules across the cell membrane. See, all those substances which are necessary for the function of a cell. Okay, necessary for the function of the cell, but which cannot pass through the cell membrane, can pass through what? These membrane proteins. Okay, so all those proteins are called as what? Carrier proteins. Carrier proteins are just nothing but what? Transporters. Okay, see why they have given carrier protein separately means because in the next slide we will see about this glycoprotein and glycolipid separately. Okay, so what is this proteins? Glycoprotein, I told you, it consists of short carbohydrate chains attached to what? Polypeptide chains. See, what do you mean by polypeptide chain? Anyone? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
See, just you answer, okay, whether you, if you know means no, yes or no, because what happened last class, you know, I was just keeping on talking, thinking that you people are listening, but later only I came to know that my screen got hanged, my system got hanged. I was not getting any responses. After a period of time only, I noticed that. Okay, so if you just respond, okay, it will be good. So what is polypeptide chain? See, this biology, I know half of you people may be interested, half definitely you may not be liking this, okay? See, but no other go. If you start listening, means with some little bit interest also, if you listen, no, there are so many new things which you can do. Okay, maybe at that time, the biology, whatever you have learned was completely different. But now the way we are going to approach this biology is completely different. Okay. So hope slowly, I hope you will get interested to all these things. Okay, see, these are all basics. Definitely you should know. Okay, so what do you mean by a polypeptide chain?
Ma'am, large number of amino acids.
Yeah, so polypeptide means what? It's a combination of amino acid. But what is this polypeptide chains? It's just nothing but what? Proteins only. Okay.
Teens.
Proteins. Okay, polyproteins are just nothing but what? A polypeptide chain. So this carbohydrate chain, if it is attached to what? Proteins, okay, present in the cell membrane means then that is called as what? Glycoprotein. And one more thing, they are found on the extracellular region of the membrane, okay, outside, okay, not inside, because inside then it serves no purpose. Only outside it is used for what? Cell to cell recognition. Okay, so what is the main purpose? Cell to cell recognition. Okay, now so that is what I just meant to say. Don't get confused by this word polypeptide. Okay, polypeptide means it's just nothing but protein. Proteins are just nothing but what? Peptide chains. Okay, so now next is what? Glycolipid. Okay, so if carbohydrate chains are attached to the phospholipids, then on the outside surface of the membrane, then it is called as what? Glycolipid. Okay, this also, it acts as the recognition site for specific chemicals and are
both the chains are on the outside surface of the membrane.
yeah. Yes. Because both acts, both have a role similar, somewhat similar only. Okay, for outer things to identify that particular cell. Okay, so here this is mainly cell to cell interaction. Okay, but this glycolipid, it will have a
kind
little.
of like peripheral protein.
Yeah. Correct. So here not only cell to cell, but if suppose some other chemicals, if it has to reach the cell, okay, they are important in cell to cell attachment to form what? Tissues. Okay, you know, right? Tissues means what? It's just cells combine together to form a tissue. Okay, so which all cells should combine? That they should know, no? So for that, this glycolipid kind of a thing, it will be what? Highly helpful. Understood? So glycoprotein, cell to cell recognition. Okay, whereas glycolipid, it acts as a recognition site where it attracts some chemicals. Okay, so this I'm the one who needs this chemical. See, suppose if chemical is released means it should know whether this is a muscle tissue, muscle cell, or whether this is a liver cell, or whether this is a nerve cell, like that. Okay, so in order for that particular identification, a tag kind of a thing. Okay, so that is what is this. Okay. So now till here is what is your plasma membrane or cell membrane. Okay, this much it's enough. With this, we will be able to adjust, means understand all the action potential part and all. Okay, so till here, if you are having any doubt, get it clarified. Or I will just play a video now. So just carefully watch the video. By seeing all those things, no, a fluid mosaic model and all, you will get a nice idea.
I have a confusion in the functions of both of them.
You have a?
They seem same.
See, almost the same, but not same also. Okay, this glycoprotein, it acts in one kind of a cell to cell recognition. Glycolipid act in different types. Okay, see what is the thing? No, we are just reading everything superficially, but in depth, if you know, this itself is a big subject. Understood? Okay. So I have to explain you all those phenomena, whatever it happens, all those things. Okay. So here a cell will be recognized by another cell using glycoprotein. Here not only cell. Okay. Cell is identified, but for some other purpose. Okay. See now in terms of glycoproteins, no. For example, if a sperm fuses with an egg, okay, in that case and all, this glycoprotein will be helpful. Understood? Whereas this tissue formation means it's glycolipid. Hope you got the difference now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes. Shall I start with the video now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
See, once again, hereafter, please don't join using the link, join using the calendar thing, no? Many people are still there in the lobby. Are you able to see the screen?
Yeah, ma'am.
Whiteboard.
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, just to tell me whether you are able to audio.
Yes, ma'am.
Already,
Yes,
yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
It's audible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
closely watch this video. It will be like a summary.
These oily films are hundreds of times thinner than a strand of spider silk, yet strong enough to protect the delicate contents of life. The cell's watery cytoplasm, genetic material, organelles, and all the molecules it needs to survive. How does the membrane work, and where does that strength come from? First of all, it's tempting to think of a cell membrane like the tight skin of a balloon, but it's actually something much more complex. In reality, it's constantly in flux, shifting components back and forth to help the cell take in food, remove waste, let specific molecules in and out, communicate with other cells, gather information about the environment, and repair itself. The cell membrane gets this resilience, flexibility, and functionality by combining a variety of floating components in what biologists call a fluid mosaic. The primary component of the fluid mosaic is a simple molecule called a phospholipid.
See, are you able to see that why it is called as fluid? Because of the fluidity. Okay, it will be just, I think here they would have shown.
By
Okay,
combining
because
a
of this
variety
reason.
of floating components in what biologists call a fluid mosaic. The primary component of the fluid mosaic is a simple molecule called a phospholipid. A phospholipid has a polar, electrically charged head, which attracts water, and a nonpolar tail, which repels it. They pair up tail to tail in a two-layer sheet just 5 to 10 nanometers thick that extends all around the cell. The heads point in towards the cytoplasm and out towards the watery fluid external to the cell, with the lipid tails sandwiched in between. This bilayer, which at body temperature has the consistency of vegetable oil, is studded with other types of molecules, including proteins, carbohydrates, and cholesterol. Cholesterol keeps the membrane at the right fluidity. It also helps regulate communication between cells. Sometimes cells talk to each other by releasing and capturing chemicals and proteins. The release of proteins is easy, but the capture of them is more complicated. That happens through a process called endocytosis, in which sections of the membrane engulf substances and transport them into the cell as vesicles. Once the contents have been released, the vesicles are recycled and returned to the cell membrane. The most complex components of the fluid mosaic are proteins. One of their key jobs is to make sure that the right molecules get in and out of the cell. Non-polar molecules like oxygen, carbon dioxide, and certain vitamins can cross the phospholipid bilayer easily. But polar and charged molecules can't make it through the fatty inner layer. Transmembrane proteins stretch across the bilayer to create channels that allow specific molecules through, like sodium and potassium ions. Peripheral proteins floating in the inner face of the bilayer help anchor the membrane to the cell's interior scaffolding. Other proteins in cell membranes can help fuse two different bilayers. That can work to our benefit, like when a sperm fertilizes an egg, but also harm us, as it does when a virus enters a cell. And some proteins move within the fluid mosaic, coming together to form complexes that carry out specific jobs. For instance, one complex might activate cells in our immune system, then move apart when the job is done. Cell membranes are also the site of an ongoing war between us and all the things that want to infect us. In fact, some of the most toxic substances we know of are membrane-breaching proteins made by infectious bacteria. These pore-forming toxins poke giant holes in our cell membranes, causing a cell's contents to leak out. Scientists are working on developing ways to defend against them, like using a nanosponge that saves our cells by soaking up the membrane-damaging toxins. The fluid mosaic is what makes all the functions of life possible. Without a cell membrane, there could be no cells, and without cells, there would be no bacteria, no parasites, no fungi, no animals, and no us.
Yes, I hope you have understood this part. Was it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, now are you able to see the shared screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So next, what we are going to see is a continuation of this only. Yeah. See, key process actually, key process which is responsible for the movement of substances across the membrane. Okay. See, now I have told you carbon dioxide can means they have explained, right? Carbon dioxide can move, oxygen can move, water can move. Okay, some substances, ions and all cannot get inside. Okay, how actually this movement it is happening across the membrane? Okay, see, actually there are 4 different ways. Like maximum they have divided. Okay, broad classification. Let me
Oh,
say.
ma'am, I had a doubt.
Yeah.
I'm like only non-polar substances can pass through the membrane, right?
See, one main thing, the head is charged, okay, and you have a fatty layer in between. So this fatty layer, it will not allow any of the charged or water soluble substances. Okay, so that
Okay.
is what is the thing.
So
This
like,
is what is deciding which can pass through and which cannot pass through. Yeah, tell me.
so then how do like potassium ions and like all other ions pass through if like charged particles cannot go through it?
That is what through proteins.
Okay, so they attach themselves to proteins and then they pass.
Yeah, that is what now. That is what is the next topic now.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
Okay. Which that is what I told you. Whichever is important for the function of the cell, and it cannot. If suppose if that all those substances, if it cannot pass through the membrane, means then the proteins are the only options. Okay, they will pass through these proteins.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So now, how actually this movement is possible? Okay, what are the different way by which it is done? Okay, so that is what we are going to see now. See, actually here, broad classification, if I have to say, there are 2 things. One is passive transport and another one is what? Active transport. Okay, so passive, as the word suggests, it happens without any expenditure of energy. No need for you to give any energy, automatically that will happen. Okay. See, suppose from a higher concentration to a lower concentration. Okay. See, suppose if heat has to move from a hot area to a colder area, means automatically it will happen, right? Do you need to induce anything? Do you need to give spend energy for the movement of heat from hot region to a cold region? No, it will happen automatically. Similarly, movement of water from a higher concentration to a lower concentration. See, all those things, it doesn't need any energy. So similarly here, there are 3 types of movement or transport which doesn't require any energy at all. It will happen automatically depending upon the concentration. Okay, so those things are called as what? Passive transport. And the one that happens with the expenditure of energy means then that is called as what? active transport. Okay, where you have to supply energy for that particular process to happen. Okay, so first let me see all the three passive transports, and then we will see what is this active transport. Okay. So first one, it's diffusion. Okay, diffusion already you know, right? So what is diffusion? Same thing. What is diffusion?
Ma'am,
I
didn't
think
change
your
it.
slide is hanged, ma'am.
If I'm
Still in
putting
the
it in
glycoproteins and
presentation, if I'm putting in this in presentation mode, I think problem is there. I think so, right? Yeah, I will just put it in a normal mode. Okay. Now is it fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it visible? I mean,
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
legible, right? You are able to read it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think if I'm putting in presentation mode, many of you are not able to view. Okay, now let me explain with this itself. Okay, so diffusion. Okay, diffusion is one passive transport. Okay, so what is this diffusion? It's the movement of substances. Okay, see, movement of substances means what? Which the cell membrane will allow only. Okay, movement of substances from a region of what? A higher concentration to a region of what? Lower concentration. It is therefore said to occur down a concentration gradient. Obviously, right, from a higher concentration to a lower concentration. Okay, so wherever from the region of higher concentration, once again, yeah, so from a region of higher concentration, if there is a movement to lower concentration automatically, then that is what is called as a diffusion. Even here across the cell membrane, this is a process. This is a type of a movement which is happening. Okay, so obviously this is a passive process because it doesn't need any energy. Okay, so this can occur across what? Either a living or a non-living membrane also. Okay, no need that it has to be what? A living membrane. Okay, and it can occur in a liquid or a gas medium. Okay, so no problem, right? Our cellular environment, it will be a maximum liquid. Okay, so which all substances can get through like that? Examples are carbon dioxide, oxygen, water, and other small molecules that are able to dissolve within the lipid bilayer. That's what I told you. Only those substances which the cell membrane will allow. Okay, those substances, if its concentration outside, okay, if it is more means automatically it will get inside. If the concentration is more inside the cell means what will happen? Then it will move outside. Okay, so this is what is diffusion. Understood? Which all substances can diffuse? Carbon dioxide, oxygen. See, and once again, water also, let me tell you, the diffusion, the movement of water through diffusion, the rate will be very, very less. But there are some proteins which will transport water also. Okay, in that case, the transport rate will be what? Very high. Okay. So all small molecules that are lipid soluble, okay, fat soluble substances, easily it can get through the membrane by this process called as what? Diffusion. Okay. See, next one is osmosis. I think this is also a very familiar process. What is osmosis? You would have come across this. Even in chemistry also you could have studied osmosis.
Concentration.
Yeah, see, this is the movement of water, okay, from the region where the water concentration is high and to the region where the water concentration is less. Okay, in what form actually the water it will be means in generally a solution. Okay, see, solution is composed of what all? Solute and the solvent, right? Right. So your solution means what? See, for example, salt solution. Salt solution means you will have what? Salt as a solute and water as what? Solvent. See here, you just be very clear how they are defining means. Suppose if you take a solution and in that solution, if the concentration of the solute is less, okay, that means what is the meaning? Water concentration is high, or else it is what? Dilute, right? Dilute, the word they will use, right? Dilute means what? The water concentration is high, or else the solute concentration is what? Less. So those cases, it will be called as what? High water potential. Okay, suppose if the concentration of the solute is high means, then what water concentration is what? Low. Okay, that it will be called as what? Low water potential. See, RLs simply it's a region, water flow from a region of higher water concentration to a region of lower water concentration. But normally they will be defining it in this terminology: high water potential, low water potential. Or in terms of a solution, if we have to define, means it's like this: if the solution concentration, okay, or else the solute's concentration, if it is less, water is more. Okay, if the solute's concentration is more, means water is less. Okay, so what is osmosis? Osmosis is the movement of water from a region of higher water potential to a region of lower water potential across the semi-permeable membrane. Understood? The movement of water from a higher concentration to a lower concentration is what is called as osmosis. So whether this is an active or a passive process, obviously this is a passive process. Okay, because this doesn't want any energy, automatically it will happen. Okay, so cell membrane allow molecules of water to pass through, but they do not allow molecules of most dissolved substances like salt, sugar and all. Okay, so it will, because salt means what? Sodium is there. Okay, definitely it's not going to allow, because it will be in the form of ion. Sugar, molecule size is bigger, so definitely that also it's very difficult. Okay, so solutes cannot pass through, but the solvent can easily pass through. Okay, so now this is one condition. Actually, whenever you study this what is that, osmosis in biology, no, definitely they would have given you the example of this hypertonic, isotonic and hypotonic solutions. Okay, this is very important and it's easy also. See, from the figure itself, are you is it possible for you to make out what is hypertonic, what is isotonic and what is hypotonic? I hope it is clear what it may be. So in the first case, okay, are you able to, let me see this, hypertonic. So what, see, all these red ones are what? Red blood cells. So these are red blood cells, means this is the environment in which these cells are situated. So what is the meaning? The cells, it has got shrunk. Okay, that means what actually is the meaning? See here, they have shown the movement of water away from the cell. That means what is the meaning? The environment in which these cells are present are having what? Less water. Because of that particular reason, there is a movement of water from inside the cell to the environment. Okay, because of that reason, the shell got shrunk. Okay, so that kind of a situation, okay, are concentrated. Hyper means what? Concentrated. Okay, see the medium in which the red blood cells are present, no, that medium is concentrated with what? A lower water potential than inside the cell. Okay, compared to the cell, this medium is having what? Less water. So as a result, just to compensate, okay, what will happen? The water from inside, it will reach the medium. Okay, therefore the cell will lose water by what? Osmosis. This is hyper. So the exactly opposite to this is what? Hypo. Hypo means what? Opposite, right? That means what is the meaning? The medium will be having more water compared to the cells. So as a result, what will happen? There will be a movement of water from the medium to the cell. See, till when actually there will be a movement of water means that net movement, it should be same. That is the water moving outside from the cell or from the medium into the cell, it should be same. Till that particular time, there will be a movement happening. Okay, so now suppose if the medium, if it has more water, what will happen compared to the cells? What will happen? The cells, obviously it will absorb water. So as a result, what will happen? You know, the cell, it will get enlarged and finally it will burst also. Okay, so here the medium has a higher water potential than the cell, and the water will move into the cell via osmosis and could eventually cause the cell to burst. Okay, that kind of a situation or that kind of a solution or that kind of a medium is what is called as the hypotonic one. Okay, what is isotonic? In between the two, proper. Okay, so the water concentration inside and outside the cell, it is equal. Okay, so both the places it's same. So as a result, there will be no net water movement. See, that means what? Water will be moving, but water entering and water leaving the cell, it will be what? It will be at the same rate. Okay, that is what is isotonic. Understood? Osmosis means it's the movement of water from a higher concentration to a lower concentration. That it will happen automatically. So suppose if you have a medium which is going to have a lower water potential compared to the cells, means from the cell the water will move into the medium and as a result this shell will shrink. Suppose if you have a medium where the water potential is more compared to the cell, means then the cells by absorbing more water it will burst. Isotonic is in between two. Okay, here the net movement, that is the water moving out or water getting in, is what? The same. Okay, so this is the safest medium in which the cells can be present. Got it? This is what? It is osmosis. Okay. Next, what it is this? Facilitated diffusion. Okay, diffusion only, but it is called as what? Facilitated. I will explain you why it is facilitated. Okay, see, this is a special form of diffusion which allows rapid exchange of specific substances. See, I told you, no, water is the best example. Water normally through osmosis, if it is getting inside, means the rate will be less. Okay, but if you have to have a rapid exchange of water, means then a facilitated diffusion is what is needed. Okay, see, if you want something to happen with what? High speed, a rapid exchange if it is needed, means then in that case a facilitated diffusion is what is necessary. So for this facilitated, see, diffusion, the term it is there, no, what all is applicable to diffusion is applicable here also. That is, it will move from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. That is, the movement is down a concentration gradient. Okay, and no need of any energy. But only difference here, the transport, it will not happen directly across the membrane, but that it will happen through what? Proteins. Are you able to see here? All these are proteins only. Okay, see, this is a channel through which it can move. See here, these type of proteins, what it will do, no, if you absorb a substance, it will change itself so that it will deliver it to inside. Okay, even in the transporters, right, there are different varieties of proteins. So diffusion itself, if it is going to happen through a protein, means then that is called as facilitated diffusion. And one more important thing, the facilitated diffusion can occur only across living membranes. Okay, but diffusion can occur across what? Both living as well as non-living. Okay, but here facilitated diffusion, it will occur only across what? Living biological membranes. Okay, so now let me see. The particles are taken up by carrier proteins which change their shape as a result. The change in shape causes the particles to be released on the other side of the membrane. See here they have shown a particle will get inside. Okay, it will change its shape accordingly. Finally, it will deliver it inside the cell. Okay, so facilitated diffusion can only occur across what? Living biological membranes which contain the carrier proteins. A substance is transported via a carrier protein from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration until it is randomly distributed. That is, the concentration is uniform. Okay, then that is what is called as a facilitated diffusion. Have you understood? See, definitely you will get a question, differentiate diffusion and facilitated diffusion. Okay, so diffusion from a region of higher to a lower concentration. Okay, see, one difference here, it happens, it takes place through what? Proteins. Okay, whereas normal diffusion just across the membrane, easily it can move across the phospholipids, but here it will move through the proteins embedded in the cell membrane. And here this it will occur only across what? Living membranes, but there it can happen, diffusion can happen across what? Living or non-living membranes. Okay, so better let me stop with this, because here active transport, no, I needs a little bit elaborate explanation. Okay, because this is what is going to be the basic for your action potential, so it need time. So already it's 2:34. Okay, so let me stop with this. So I think I don't know, I will just check. I will upload this also, go through this and come for the next class. Then only it will be easy for you to grasp. Okay, or else you could have forgotten, and it will be like ABCD for you. What I have taken in the last class, you will not be able to relate. Okay, so better go through once and come. Okay.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
Osmosis is for only water. Only water is transferred in osmosis.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, you had recommended one textbook, Biology by Campbell, so we can study that, ma'am.
Yeah, all these things are there in that book. Cell, Introduction to a Tour of the Cell. I think it's what is the chapter's name. See, there he could have given it haphazardly, okay? But whatever I'm teaching regarding cell will be there in the book only. Majority of the diagrams and all I have taken it from that book only.
Okay, ma'am, because some you're putting in the slide, but sometimes when you're narrating, I can miss some points. I don't.
Yeah. You can use that book. A tour, I think, a tour of the cell. See, it may not be there in the order. Okay, that particular chapter. Any chapter there regarding cell, you just refer. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, I have another doubt.
Yeah, Bhavya.
Ma'am, this subject is for only this semester, or?
Yeah.